It all began with little things. My wife, Cara, started spending more and more time with a new circle of friends from her office. 3 women who seemed convinced that men were always at fault for everything. At first, I brushed it off. After all, everyone needs their friends, right? But over time, I noticed how their influence on Cara grew, and not in any positive way. They constantly trashed their partners, encouraged secret keeping, and filled their social feed with posts like, "Make him miss you by disappearing." I laughed it off until it stopped being funny. One evening, after I forgot to take the trash out, Cara completely snapped. It wasn't the usual annoyance. She launched into a 20-minute tirade about how I didn't appreciate her, how I took her for granted, and how I needed a serious wake-up call. I stood there stunned. Sure, I'd made my share of mistakes, but we always talked things out calmly. This time felt rehearsed. The next morning, she packed a bag. When I asked where she was headed, she said she needed space. "Just a few days," she claimed. "Don't call me. I'll reach out when I'm ready." I asked her why. She gave no reply. Instead, she stormed out, slammed the door, and left me there, speechless. By the 3rd day, I was falling apart. I sent her a few texts. Nothing. I tried calling once, straight to voicemail. And then I saw it. One of her friends posted a group selfie. The caption read, "Teaching men consequences 101 nail polish medium skin tone, #girl power." My heart sank. There was Cara in the photo, laughing, a glass of wine in her hand. I stared at that picture for a long time. So this was it. She left to teach me a lesson. For what? Just for existing? That's when I realized this wasn't about garbage duty or house chores. This was something far deeper, something those women had planted in her head. I felt angry, hurt, and honestly a little afraid of what this meant for our marriage. I spoke to my brother about it. He just shook his head and said, "You're not the one who needs to be taught a lesson, man." And he was right. I wasn't perfect, but I'd been a good husband. I worked hard, came home every night, stayed loyal, supported her in every way I could, and now I was being painted as the bad guy for no clear reason. So I decided to call Cara's mom. She's always been honest and straightforward. The moment I told her what was happening, she let out a long sigh and said, "Those girls again." Turns out, this wasn't the first time Cara had gotten swept up in some toxic friendship drama. Her mom thanked me for calling and promised to speak with her. The next day, Cara's mom called back. She said she tried talking sense into her, but Cara flat out refused to come home. She says you don't deserve her presence right now. Her mom said. I was floored. Deserve her presence? That didn't even sound like Cara. It sounded exactly like those so-called friends. That night, I sat down and started reevaluating everything. Our marriage, our communication, her loyalty. I thought back to the times we used to laugh about growing old together. And now, she was playing some childish disappearing act, passive-aggressive and cold. Then, out of nowhere, something I didn't expect happened. I got a message from Leah, a co-worker of Cara's who wasn't part of that toxic group. She wrote, "Hey, I know this is random, but I think you should know Cara and those girls have been planning this little lesson for weeks. They think it's a joke. I think it's disgusting." She even attached screenshots from their group chat. It was worse than I ever imagined. They had an entire scheme. Ignore his calls. Stay away for at least a week. Make him sit in guilt. Guilt for what? No one seemed to know. Just the typical man behavior, apparently. That was my breaking point. Instead of blowing up her phone or begging her to come back, I did something different. I packed a small bag, scribbled a note, and left it on the kitchen table. Then I walked out. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I went to a cabin my cousin owned out in the woods. No phone signal, no noise, just peace and quiet. I needed time to think. I had to figure out if this marriage was even worth fighting for anymore. When I got back 2 days later, Cara was home. She looked surprised when I walked in. "Where were you?" she asked, arms crossed. I looked her straight in the eye and calmly said, "Taking space, just like you did." She said nothing for a while. I could see her trying to come up with some angle, trying to spin it. But the lines her friends had fed her didn't work if I wasn't chasing after her. Finally, she broke the silence. I was hurt, and I wanted you to feel it. For what? I asked, what exactly did I do to deserve getting ghosted by my own wife? She had no answer, just more silence. And in that silence, everything between us crumbled. I told her I'd seen the posts. I'd read the messages. I knew the whole thing had been staged. And I wasn't going to sit back and accept being manipulated in my own marriage. She started crying, said it was meant to be a reset, not a punishment. But even she didn't seem to believe her own words. I could see the regret in her eyes. But regret doesn't undo betrayal. We both agreed on taking a break. She moved in with her sister. I stayed at the house. It's been a few weeks now, and honestly, I don't know if we'll make it. But I know this. If someone truly loves you, they'll never let others turn your relationship into a game. Sometimes, the lesson you try to teach ends up teaching you instead. And I'm done being the one taking notes.